Hey folks, and welcome to another video from A Plain Truth for You and Well Healed Too. I will love the light, for it shows me the way. Yet I will endure the darkness, because it shows me the stars. We must all become shining stars now, folks. We are under attack. There's no doubt about it. This is now the second, third year of these attacks going on in California, but it's going on all around the world. And some stars are really coming out, and I want to give a big shout out to the Deborah Tavares at StopTheCrime.net, Mike Morales, Logic Before Authority, Ice Age Farmer, Never Lose Truth Too, and all of you who are sharing on Facebook and sharing information as we go through this process. And we don't give in to the fear. The fear is made to put us on our heels. The fear is made to disable us, to paralyze us. But you can choose your fear. You can flee everything and run or try, or you can face everything and run. You still have a choice. The Chinese, who have endured much longer than Western civilization, have a saying: the word for crisis is the same one for opportunity. We can jujitsu, and we can use our opportunities here during this crisis we are facing, where there's no outlet. There's no way we can get away from this unless we self-activate and we change what must change and be the change we must see. They're blanketing California, turning off our power. They're blaming PG&E, and they're hiding behind their war games of power. Power that we must have to keep our lights on, power to keep our smart devices on, power to keep our water going. And they're taking away our power by putting us in fear and showing us that we have no idea where things come from. We have no idea how to take care of ourselves if the men and women in power, or the men in black in power, play these games with us. And this must be coming to an end. We are under attack. There's no denial. This is directed energy weapons, folks. We've seen it over and over again. But they are not the power a problem. We are the power problem, because we don't know where our power comes from, our water comes from, and our energy comes from. We've been beholden to their system because we've been built on desire. It's because we desire to have conveniences instead of taking care of our own business. As Trotsky said, the depth and strength of a human character are defined by its moral reserves. People reveal themselves completely only when they are thrown out of their customary conditions of their life. For only then do they have to fall back on their reserves. Could that not be truer today? And then Mr. Norman Thomas said, the American people will never knowingly adopt socialism, but under the name of liberalism, they will adopt every fragment of the socialist program until one day America will be a socialist nation without knowing how it happened. And this is why they're coming after California first, the greatest liberal state in the corporation United States to America. And this is about taking out the liberals. Once you take out the liberals, they always want somebody else to fix it. The conservatives got their guns and got their mandate, hey, come get me. But the liberals, once you get them to turn over, they're done. We have to show love through the process. We have to show our hearts. Love conquers all. We must come together. I saw some fights at gas stations. I saw some things about people getting really angry with each other and frustrated because they don't know where their power comes from. But as Jimi Hendrix said, once the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. And we saw many, many indications of love. We saw people keeping their stores open in the dark, making food because people are hungry. We saw people disobeying. We need to become disobedient. We need to become ungovernable. We don't have to have a master when we know where our power and energy and food comes from in our community. We have to find the common unity in our community. Anarchy, which they've turned on their head, just like apocalypse, means without the absence of a ruler or master. We must get back to the gardens. We must get back to the tribe. We must localize in every community, every city. Find your tribe and localize. Take back your power. Rights are not gifts of the government. We have unalienable rights, which I published before. We have to find our rights, but we also have to have reverence for nature that gives us life. We have to let go of the ego and become eco. We have to look out for all life. That's called growing up. To know that all life is part of it. Empowering big solutions, taking back the power, literally and powerfully. But there's no doubt we're under attack, folks. These images are overwhelming and traumatizing in the brain, just like 9/11. They traumatize us. They get us on our heels. They get us wondering what's going to happen next, and everybody becomes edgy. Everybody becomes nervous. This was at the Carquinez Bridge in Vallejo, exploding out over at the same time the fires, the Kincaid fires, were started. And then people were still going on about their lives. Hey, we're still going to get married with the fires in the background. Life continues on for a while. But there can be no doubt the information is overwhelming that we are being hit by many weapons. And the many weapons are directed energy weapons, also the food supplies on Beyond Meats and all the fake food made from Petri dishes, and taking out the farms in the Midwest as they're doing. Prices of food keep going up. But look at this, folks. They're telling you it's a forest fire. They're blowing smoke up your ass. Tell me how that could possibly be a forest fire. That's in Paradise, a mobile home park. I mean, we see time after time in the Santa Rosa fires. It hit the Arby's, it hit McDonald's, but it left the gas station okay. And then we see the Cardinal Newman Jesuit School ball field just for a laser cut, just to show the precision of what they can do. And then we see these other applications like this 100,000-foot Kmart, where it jumped a 6-lane 101 freeway in Santa Rosa back in 2017. But if you look and you see with eyes to see, you'll see it can only be happening by lasers. The tree stands, but the car is completely vaporized. And then we have pictures that were sent on the day of the fires in Santa Rosa. I saw the blue light as well. And here's some pictures from the Paradise fires that they took as well. And you can see the scalar waves, and you can see the blue light. It is indisputable. It is undeniable that we are under attack. This is the burning tree, the famous burning tree in Kmart in Paradise as well. And LIDAR is a new term we got to learn about, the lasers that's changing the world. They had the LIDAR. They had Craig Clements, a San Jose meteorologist professor. He was there at the fires, at the morning the fire started in Paradise with his truck using LIDAR and shooting lasers into the fire. Into the fire. He was shooting lasers. They show they're doing it. And this guy knew when the fires were going to start. He drove his truck all the way from San Jose to get there. I did a video on that as well. We must learn what they're weaponry of, and once we learn, then we can start deciding and figure out how we can defend. So then we have some imagery from the Kincaid fire that started, I guess it was about a week ago. And we can see the imagery here on top. This is the PG&E cameras. You can see the orbs moving around, and you can see the lights. And look at up top, you can see these streaks going across. These are the orbs positioning themselves to be striking the point. You see that point strike there? And then watch it grow and grow, and watch the orbs from below and above. Now, those could be cars moving underneath on the mountaintop, but this is looking out at Geyser. Geyserville is, the geysers are where they have the wet surface air coolers, where it's all protected land, and PG&E used to own it, now Calpine. And so they could run it up there, and no one's going to know the difference about what they're doing up there. But clearly, this is evidence of it. You want more? Check this out. This Getty fire started on 10/27. An official story is that a tree branch came down, but you'll see otherwise evidence. I'm going to play the clip first, and then we'll analyze it.
Two major wildfires across California. In the north, a Kincaid fire, so big it looks like this. This is 85 miles away in San Francisco. Meanwhile, in Southern California, they're bracing for those dangerous Santa Ana winds. Matt Gutman is in Los Angeles, has the latest for us. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. We actually just lost a light because the winds are starting to pick up here. And you can see those firefighters behind me. They're literally taking a last stand. Just over the past half hour, the winds have kicked up, and you can see it blowing those singed palm trees behind me. Now, the fear is that the wind is going to kick up embers and cast them perhaps miles downrange, taking them from destructed areas like this and starting new fires. Now, these red flag warnings are underway in 43 California counties this morning. That applies to 27 million people.
Overnight, that rare new video showing the spark which incinerated 12 homes, damaged 5 others. Take another look. Officials claiming high winds carried a tree branch into a city power line.
Sorry for the garble here, but I slowed this down as much as I could. But you can see the scalar waves erupting from this as you slow it down. And notice at the bottom, hurricane force winds, selling the fear, selling the fear, selling the fear. But clearly this was a directed energy attack. The scalar waves are prominent and viewable. Some of you Photoshop technicians maybe can take this apart a little more and show how this was all another directed energy attack coming in. There's the lights, the explosion, and the following scalar waves. No doubt indeed. And here again, we see from the Kincaid fire, something ignited it. We caught it on film. There it is again. This is energy coming from above, directed energy weapons being used to start the fires and fan the flames of war. And then they take this picture. This was down in LA, Healdsburg, I'm sorry. And here you can see the directed energy in the background. And they say, oh, it's just a meteor. It's just a meteor coming down. But look at the tree, folks. Look at the tree and all the energy coming off of that and all the hot spots going around. And then we have evidence from the Paradise fires as well. Directed energy weapons were used. We have it on imagery. We have it on film. Mike Morales did a great job of breaking it down. We can see how high that plume was at the ignition event on November 8, 2018. It was massive. And then we also have the programmable embers. This is nanobots. This is what Angel, a documentary I did with him on, who worked on these things and said these are programmable nanobots. And these helped start the fires in the homes. These helped go where they were directing them to go. And I'll put the video in the link so you can listen to it again. But these nanobots are another part of their arsenal, along with underground lasers as well, when they can shoot energy underground and light trees from the inside up. And we need to understand the technologies and the many types of weapons they are using. It's not just from above. It's not just from below. It's not just from the surface. Everywhere we're under attack, from land, from sea, and from air. So what's the plan? What's the agenda? Another huge shout out to Deborah Tavares at StopTheCrime.net. Back in November 2011, she was talking about Northern California going to be burned up. She was seeing what was going on with the trees in the forest, and she called it. She's got in front of the Board of Supervisors and spoke the truth as well. Well, it's Agenda 21, Agenda 30, Agenda 2050, Agenda 2045, which we'll get into a little bit later. But you can see the diversity zones. They do all that red. Humans aren't going to be living there, and that's exactly where the fires are going. Agenda 21 states effective execution of Agenda 21 will require a profound reorientation of all human society, unlike anything the world has ever experienced. A major shift in the priorities of both governments and individuals, and an unprecedented redeploy, military term, of human and financial resources. This shift will demand that a concern for the environmental consequences of every human action to be integrated into individual and collective decision-making at every level. Rio 1991, they put this out, their Agenda 21, and now they're under implementation. Now we see the effects of what they're doing, and they're beginning not just with California. If you think it's just California, think again. But California is where they're promoting the get out, the housing costs, taxes. Everybody get out of California because they want to implement Agenda 21. They want to take it to the liberals first. They're playing the Jesuit Jerry Brown against the Jesuit Donald Trump, so we argue amongst each other. But underneath is the planning for the wildland-urban interface. The wildland-urban interface, get that, wildland-urban, city and trees. They're making it so they're going to say living around trees is too dangerous, you must move into the cities. That's why they have the stack and pack 'ems. This is all part of their agenda being played out as we speak, using these fires to promote their agenda. The wildlands are not going to be permitted to have human habitation. They want to reclaim it for the animals and for the forest and whatnot, but they have a plan. Their plan is being put together. They're very, very long-term planners, but anyone with eyes to see can see that this is being implemented here in California, and it will be going on to other regions as well. So we must become aware, and that's the first step to awakening. The wildland-urban interface is a zone of transition between wildland, unoccupied land, and human development. Communities in the wildland-urban interface are at risk of a catastrophic wildfire, and their presence disrupts the ecology. And here you can see in Gatlinburg, when they did the fires, this was about 4 years ago, the proof is in the pavement. Gatlin County residents are invading the wildlands surrounding Bozeman, or rather Gatlin County residences. About 1 in 3 new homes encroaching on this once natural landscape is someone's second home. This trend has several potential outcomes, one of which is increased risk of property damage due to wildfires. It also means that more money will be pulled from recreation budgets, oh boy, in order to fight said fires. But who and what is the Forest Service fighting for? A deeper look into the numbers reveals some troubling conclusions. So hopefully now you can see how they prime the pump: problem, reaction, solution, and they blame the second homeowners, and we got to have it for recreation, and the firefighters are being put in harm's way. All part of the Agenda 21. Look at how long they've had their wildland urban interface maps going back in 2010, and the risk assessments being done by the battalion chiefs and all the Freemasonry captains that are involved. And then they sell it. This is Santa Rosa movie they had called Urban Inferno. Santa Rosa's suburbs. It's not urban. And how about Paradise? Paradise was erased off the map, folks. Paradise has been lost, and they're not moving back in because they're claiming it for their own. It's their paradise, and you're not included. And this is just a recent article. Forecast Paradise repopulation will take a long time, but they haven't even done body counts to find out about the 27,000 to 52,000 people that haven't come back. And this was a letter from Meg, who I'm in correspondence with. I lived 10 months after the Camp Fire in a remote mountain area with no TV or internet, but since coming back to Paradise 6 weeks ago, have had power shut off 5 times with 2-day minimum. Living on the property on Pence Canyon and with crazy winds like never before, cost for temporary power, backflow device for water and septic hookup for RVs was over $5,000. Code enforcers, what is a code enforcer? Patrol in town and out allows 2 trailers max with permits required for everything, even a dog kennel or cargo trailer if bigger than 5 feet by 7 feet. The greed is unbelievable. Paradise seems to be ground zero for the shit show. Makes me angry. I love this place, but they are strategically took out all sentimental, nostalgic places, so it is no longer home to us locals. And now the spin masters are using PBS and the other corporate news media to sell the story of the Paradise Fires 1 year on. We're coming up in 4 days on the event of November 8th, 2018. And Netflix has 2 specials. This is the second one coming out, and I'll be taking that apart. I already started doing this. But this is all based on a book by John Milton written back in 1670. John Milton died on November 8th, and that's when the fire started. Why did they torch Paradise, you may ask? Paradise Lost, it's about Satan's victory over God when he tempted Eve with the forbidden fruit, which led Adam and Eve to be expelled from paradise and their subsequent fall. Now the Athena laser weapon system is an upgrade of the weapons, Adam for short. The fire started on the 8th of November, and it was 8 days after Satan's expulsion from paradise that Satan returned to tempt Adam and Eve with the fruit of forbidden knowledge. The 8th is also 1 day before the 9th of November 2018, 9/11 and 11 year. Therefore, the fire starts on the eve of 9. Adam and Eve and the fall of paradise, another Luciferian ritual. Thoughts and prayers for all the victims indeed. And they are claiming California, claiming their lands. Bohemian Grove right outside Guerneville got massive flooding, where just down the road little rain occurred. This was this last wintertime, and Guerneville was flooded out, which is the headwaters, the entrance to Bohemian Grove. And so you can see their footprints going on. They're reclaiming their lands. They've been there for a long time, and there's just too many of us here, and they want California for its resources, as we'll get into. But this is all part of their agenda. California is their golden jewel. That's why they have Treasure Island and the Golden Gate and the gold in the hills. They're reclaiming their paradise. That's why they sacrifice to Moloch. They operate in the dark, those with eyes to see. But make no mistake, it's not just California. Here in my book coming out, I chronicle the fires that have recently been occurring all up and down California. Historic, never before seen fires, calling it climate change, but not just in California. If you think it's just California, think again. Baja California just got nailed last week as well. And their wildlife and fire interface plan includes the entire West, the western states. And no doubt the East will be hit, the Midwest will be hit, All of this is going to happen, and we're seeing it everywhere. We're seeing it happen down in Houston, down in Hurricane Harvey. We're seeing down in Katrina, down in New Orleans, getting hit again and not even being reported. They had Tropical Storm Imelda, which dumped as much water as Hurricane Harvey and got zero news coverage. And they're using sophisticated weaponry. They're using space-based lasers or high-altitude platforms, if you wish. But people are suffering. People are putting in trauma. Children wondering what the heck is going to be our future. Well, unless you have a plan, you have no plan. And they're hitting all the areas, and they've been doing it now for years. And it's going to get worse, according to former Jesuit minister, former Governor Brown, Jerry Brown. Listen.
This is not the new normal. This is the new abnormal. And this new abnormal will continue, certainly in the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. And unfortunately, the best science is telling us that dryness, warmth, drought, all those things, they're going to intensify. Predictions by some scientists are that we've already gone up 1 degree. I think we can expect a half a degree, which is catastrophic, over the next 10 to 12 years. So we have a real challenge here, threatening our whole way of life. So we got to pull together. People have ideas, whether it's forest management or how to do our fire prevention. Great, let's hear about them. And we're going to have to invest more and more in adaptation. When we talk about things like the climate and the warming climate, and we talk about words like adaptation, that's what we're talking about. And it's not millions, it's billions and tens and probably hundreds of billions, even in the span of a few years. So we've got lots of work to do. It is a time of sadness, but also one to reflect on where we are and just resolve to pull together and do everything we can to help those in need and to take the steps to minimize and mitigate the damage that's so obvious. Thank you.
Now, how would he know this was going to happen unless he knows this is going to happen because they're controlling it, they being the Jesuits, Trump, Fordham University Jesuit, Governor Newsom, Jesuit, Santa Clara, Governor Jerry Brown. This is their plan. They're calling for the mega basins, 8 mega basins. And look at the regions where all the fires are going on around Clear Lake. That's where their #1 mega basin is supposed to go in. The funding for $500 billion was put in place back in November 2014 when they declared they were going to start putting in mega basins when they were creating the 5-year drought that we had, and then we had record rains. And they're saying, oh, it's bone dry here. But here you can see that we had record rains, folks. February was almost record rains here this year, and so it wasn't bone dry at all. But then if it rains, it's too much vegetation for the fires. And here you can see the rail lines. You see where the rail lines are going? The Great Redwood Trail. They're calling it a hiking 300-mile trail. No, that's where they're putting the, quote, smart trains. And then right up through Chico, right up through Paradise is where they're putting the other mega 2050, the mega rail lines that they're implementing and putting through. You can see it on these maps clearly what they're doing, and they're going around year by year, torching out those areas and declaring wild urban interface, so people got to move out of these areas because they're destroying the ecology and it's fire dangers. But it's all part of their Vision 2020, their perfect sight. Their saying is, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. But in the darkness, the one holding a candle is a target. Doesn't matter, got to be the light, folks. They're invasive species. They're monitoring everything we do. That's why you have the one eye on the back of the dollar bill. That's why you see all the celebrities with their one eyes, because that's their major saying. And 2020 is perfect vision, and we will be blinded by their light. And look at them turning off the power. 2 million people, 24 million people, selling the fear. But it's part of a much greater agenda. And that agenda is going through a company called Solarin Corp, which is down in Manhattan Beach and has a bunch of military brass and very high CEO executives from major defense contractors that are on the board. They're planning on putting all of our power up in, quote, space or high altitude platforms, and they're going to beam down our power. They're going to beam down power for the house. They're going to beam down energy for our electric cars. They're going to beam down 5G and all our internet connections. the Solaran mission, cost competitive space electricity. But first they got to make the ground transmission lines, power lines unreliable, untenable, and then people will be begging for power. And oh yeah, you're gonna have power from space. Sign me up. Oh, biometric ID, tattoos, vaccines, sure. FEMA camps, sure. Just give me some power because I don't have any. And you're gonna sign up because you don't know where things come from. You don't have your food, you don't have your water, and you don't have your power. But this is their agenda. This is their plan. These are solar collectives being put all around the world to beam them down and connect to the grids that are on the ground. Blade Runner 2049 opening scene shows you that's what they're doing. And if you look at the Solaran Corp website, you can see that they're announcing, this was back in 2009 when originally they were selling this. And then we see PG&E has signed up for 200 megawatts of base load power. Where? From space. So they're going to bury PG&E, they're going to make it a state-run entity, and then they're going to put all the power coming from space. And look at Elon Musk. He's got SpaceX putting up 30,000 additional Starlink global internet satellites. He's already said that your 5G, your internet's going to be coming from above with radio frequency Wi-Fi lasers. And how about all the electric cars and the electric power? Look at them all. All the car manufacturers are going electric. And electric automated cars, you don't even have to drive anymore. It'll become a privilege to drive your personal pollution vehicle, and you will not be able to get gas anymore. They're getting rid of gas stations. They're going to kill the dollar, the petrodollar, and it's going to go to cryptocurrency. Look at the new $100 bill. Half of it's in gold with the Declaration of Independence abolishing government written in cursive writing. You can't make this stuff up. It's for eyes to see that see what their plans are and what they're doing. This is their plan. This is their agenda, going to the cryptocurrency, and then it's all electronic, electric. And you can see from the 9/11 on the back of the currencies we have, you can see the towers being destroyed. They tell you what they're going to do. They show you with predictive programming, and they're saying, go ahead, stop us, see if you can. But here's what we're doing. Here's how we're doing it. And it's up for you to try and stop us if you can. And also we have the stooges and the political politics process. Don't talk about politics, but Chuck Schumer outlines $462 billion gas for electric vehicles. You can see the game plan, how they're rolling it out now. It's very, very clear. And then to add insult to injury, they're saying that it's our fault. 95% of the wildfires are caused by people, when we have massive, massive evidence that it's being an attack. We're at war. These are the flames of war being pushed by fake winds generated in microclimates. We did not feel any wind at all where we were at, yet just miles away it was super gusty and windy. These are the microclimates they've been able to create with the geoengineering they've been doing for over 40 years.